Hey guys, how you doing? Joe Calcavec here. Hey, what I'm going to tie right now, it's called a Striper Dragon. Now this is a much simpler version of Bill Catherwood's The Giant Killers. Bill Catherwood is pretty much the father of our big fish deer hair flies. He was doing his back, 40, 50 years ago. They didn't even have rods that would cast these flies back then. But when he first started tying them, he used no flash in it whatsoever. He used to dye his materials to match the hatch perfectly. I remember when I first met him, I was fishing on the beach. I'm from Newburyport, Plum Island. He's actually grew up down not too far from there in Tewksbury, Massachusetts. And I'm fishing the beach, okay? I have my spinning rod, and I'm telling you, we're in a blitz. I'm talking blitz. As far as the eye can see, there was striped bass all over. And I'm right by Surfland, which is the big bait shop on the island, bait tackle. All of a sudden, I see this, older gentleman comes, wandering down the beach, and he's looking around, and he's seeing fish after fish. I'm catching them like crazy. Like I said, I got my spinning rod, and we started talking a little bit. I says, "Here, take my rod. You catch a couple. I'm going to get my fly rod." He looked at me like, "You're in the middle of a blitz. You're giving me your fishing rod?" I says, "Yeah, Bill, don't worry about it. Take it, have fun." So that's how our friendship started. And he was definitely one of my mentors over the years. A couple of things that he told me, because we walked in the bait shop afterwards, and I showed him my flies. And he says, "Joe, one thing you got to remember when you're tying a fly is that don't tie it like an envelope, okay? You need to tie it so it has a little bit of roundness to it, so it looks like a real bait fish." And I took that to heart, and I've been doing it ever since. A lot of my flies, I'll put a big epoxy head or something to push water, and that's really important that you send those vibrations out to the fish. So I could talk all night, but let's get started with the fly here. Now this is a Striper Dragon. Like I said, it's a much simpler version of Bill Catherwood's Giant Killers. So we're going to start off with a little bit of bucktail around the hook shank. I remember he had this 5-gallon pail, okay, with little V cutouts all the way around it, and he had all his flies in it. Okay, these flies here, if anybody could ever even get their hands on it, they'd be in heaven, really. His black eel, his pogey, oh God, I miss the guy. He always came down with his wife, Grace. Sweetest people you ever want to meet. Okay, so we got a little bit of bucktail on the bottom here, there. Okay, now we're going to put in our feathers. Okay, what I like to use the Ewing feathers right here. And all we need is two white. Okay, and 2 chartreuse. I know you're probably making fun of me saying Chartreuse, but I'll try to say it the best I can. My Boston accents will come through quite a bit. I mean, I grew up 10 miles north of Boston, so I can't help myself. Okay, we got 2 Chartreuse. Trying to pronounce his R's. And we want to lay them right on top of each other. Just like this here. Alright? So we grab it. We got 2 in this hand, right? Take the other 2. Put it between your index finger and your middle finger. And pull it out just like that there so they're all even. Just like that. Okay? We measure it. We want it to come out. We want this fly to be in the 6-7 inch range. Cut it. Take off some fluff, but not all. Take your finger and squeeze it just like that, so it looks just like that. Okay? Switch it back to your other hand, lay it right on top of that base. So all 4 stems are right on top of the base. Just like that there, give it a few loose wraps, tighten it up, and we got all feathers on top, perfectly sitting on top. Just the way we want it. Okay, next step is to get some pearl Flashabou. At least a half a dozen strands. Now we just want to put this on one way. Okay, so what we're going to do is pull out the ends. All right, and what that does, it makes it longer. All right, so we just lay it right on each side. Give it a few wraps. Fold it over. A few wraps over here. Perfect. That's it. Okay, that's our tail wing. Okay, the next step we're going to do is put a collar in there. So we want to use the good bucktail. And so this part of the fly is like a deceiver. So when we put our collar in, we want the collar the same length as that tail wing right here. Okay? And what you want to do is take the point of the hook and go right up, and that's where we're going to put our collar. That's where we want our thread to stop. And what I like to do is roll it around the whole hook shank. And what that does is when you put on your deer hair head, with the 2 collars, it blends in nice, so you don't get that little dip. So I just need a little bit more deer hair on there. Bucktail. Because I got a little open spot there. I don't like that. So that's good. Now what I'm tying with right now is a heavy monofilament. Alright. But when I spin the deer hair, I want to switch over to a regular nylon thread. I use a Danville Flymaster Plus. It's either a 160 or a 210 denier. Either one should be fine. Okay. So half hitch that right off, just like that. Now I'm going to switch over to our nylon thread. I like using this here because it won't cut the deer hair as much. So when you put the deer hair on, what you want to try to do is get your first cut should be about the thickness of a pencil. Okay, number 2 pencil. All right. Nothing really fancy. Now you need to find good deer belly hair. Now this is deer belly hair. Okay, this is the white hair from the deer. And you want to make sure that all the pointy ends, okay, the tapered ends, goes towards your tail wing. All right. So now we give that a few wraps. A hook point right here that lines up perfectly with that there. And now we want to put our deer tail on. Give it 2 or 3 loose wraps and just go right around with it like that. Now the whole key to this here is good deer hair. All right. You want stuff that, I wish I could have you feel this stuff here, but it's hollow and it's got some decent length to it too, so it's going to spin beautifully. And you've noticed I had thread on the hook shank, so it grabs that and it spins really nice. There's no slippage. Same thing. Usually do at least 3, okay? You guys can get your really expensive pusher, okay? It's just a big pen. Push push that back just a little bit like that there. Good. Give it a few more wraps. That's good. So we're getting a decent head going here now. Okay, we're going to do one more, looks like. That's all we need. Same thing, about the thickness of a pencil. Get it right off. Lay it right in front. There we go. Okay, now we're going to start trimming this here, and when I trim it, I like to use, actually these are old Ingalls scissors, I don't even think they make them anymore, but they actually have serrades on both sides. And you really need a good serrated scissors to do this properly. And what we're going to do, we don't want it, that first collar that we put in, we don't want to cut into it. So what I like to do is cut in at an angle. Just to get started. Because that's the part that's blending in with our bucktail collar. Okay, what we want to do, we want to shape this like a bullet shape. We want to make sure we have a good gap in here too. I really like the Ahrex hooks because some hooks you see they have a really sharp bend up. I don't want that. I want it just like the way these hooks are. Let me show you. Because I've seen like other hooks, and what happens, I've had not good hookups. With the Ahrex hooks, you'll always get a nice solid hookup. But you see how that doesn't really curve way up? I've seen some of them where the curve is up here. So your gap on the head and the point isn't enough. That's why these hooks are actually perfect when it comes to tying these style flies. Now you can see the first collar that I put on, we have all the tapered ends hanging out just like that there, and that's blending right with the collar. And you just take your time, okay? You don't have to take a lot off, just a little bit. Shape the head the way you want it. There's no hurry on this fly. You should be enjoying this. You know, dreams of becoming a barber. Actually, every time I go get my haircut, I look at what the barbers are using for scissors, and I get jealous half the time. All right, that looks just about done. Okay, Just a little bit here up top. I want to blend that in a little bit more. Okay, that looks good there. So you can take a look at it like this, and you see how it's got a nice little bullet shape to it? That's what you want. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is seal that thread right there. And the best stuff I found is the bone dry, Chartreuse bone dry. And all you really want to do is seal that thread right there. Okay, and it's really important with the light though too, is that you don't come like that and do that. You want to bring it up like this and so slowly work it in. Because if you don't, it will burn and it will smoke. Okay, that part's good. Okay, now we're going to put some eyes on. You can even feel it. You can feel how it stiffened that right up. All right, now we're going to put some eyes on it. Now these are 8mm eyes. Back to the Loctite stick and seal. You can use goop. You can use any type of pliable cement. I use a Loctite stick and seal because I found it to be the best for me. I know you have a flytying version. It's called Zappa Dappa Goo. You know, it's just there's different stuff out there, but the best is a pliable glue, a pliable cement. All right, don't try to use a UV on it because it's not going to work. UVs are not an adhesive. Okay, all they are is a sealer. They won't. You can't make anything stick with UV. All right. I kind of stress that because a lot of people say, "Well, I covered it with UV and it fell off." I says, "Well, because they don't stick. It's not an adhesive." All right. So when we put the eye on, we just want to put it on, and don't do anything. Don't touch it. Don't breathe on it. Don't do anything. All right. We want to let that glue set up a little bit so it penetrates some. And when you put it on, all you do is just roll it onto the eye. Just like that. And we put the eye on this side here. And that's it. So we give that about 3 or 4 minutes. Let it set up. And then you just take it like this here. And you don't just go like that. You kind of work it in like this. Okay? So you grab it and you would work it in just like that there. And that's it. Striper Dragon.